The Rams just may have done it again, getting the steal of the draft in the 4th round. We're throwing out grades for every single draft pick, also winners and losers. All that more coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Less than 20 subscribers away from 17,000, so join the party. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. Today I'm flying solo. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, will be back tomorrow. But on today's show, we're throwing out grades for the Rams draft picks. Also, more winners and losers and takeaways. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by the Amazon Fire Stick 4K. The Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Okay, so we're continuing to unpack and break down this draft. And let's get back into the picks. So last time we talked, we broke down Terrance Ferguson, high on him, athletic, 6'5", can move the chains. I gave it a solid B+. Didn't want to go A-, but I think for that round where they picked it, I go B+. All my Oregon friends have told me, hey, highest vertical leap, 39 inches. He ran the fastest 40-yard dash at the tight end. I am sold on Terrance Ferguson, okay? I want to see him have a lot of success. I am very excited about him leading the FBS with 9 yards per catch. I like him as a flex tight end, can develop as a blocker, but they have been after a dynamic tight end to add to this offense for a couple years. And you look at Tyler Higbee, is he a winner? Is he a loser in all this? I think that you could say that his time with the Rams could be over next season. Now, Tyler Higbee is the best tight end in Rams history. When you look at overall production, he's entering his final year of his contract. He was a part of the first draft class when the Rams came back to Los Angeles. It's been highly productive, has been really a big part of this offense for stretches at times. But, yeah, I mean, it came out of Western Kentucky University. WKU has been productive for this team. But, hey, 10 years for an organization is a long time. And last year they brought in Colby Parkinson. He hadn't quite worked out. You wanted to trade up for Brock Bowers, didn't get him. Dalton Kincaid. Now you got yourself Terrance Ferguson. So we'll see if Terrance Ferguson has a big role in year one. It's still Tyler Higbee's role right now, but we'll see how that progresses and if he can stay healthy. But I like the pick. I'm giving it a B+. And then the next grade we're going to throw out is the Rams take with the 90th pick, round 3 overall, outside linebacker Josaiah Stewart out of Michigan. So Michigan, Rams, 3rd round. I mean, we've seen the Rams go for Michigan players in the first couple of rounds of the draft. Last year, you go with Blake Corum, but I like this. I mean, this is a linebacker. We know the Rams needed help at that position, and having a guy that brings you quality when you lose Michael Hoyt, he brings something that can help this defense right away. Now, he's not the biggest guy. He's 6'1", but if you watch the highlights, if you watch his tape, he doesn't play like he's 6'1". I mean, I think the way that he can get around tackles, he's got long arms. He played really well in a really good conference, one of, if not the best conferences in college football, the Big Ten. So I like this. I really, really do. Michigan men winning national championships. And Josaiah Stewart, I give another B+. I really like this pick. I really, really do. The pedigree, the production, the fact that he's undersized, he makes up for it. He's got longer arms. Like I said, go watch his tape. He doesn't play like he's that size. And then in the 4th round, pick 117, this was a flashier pick by the Rams. They take Jarquez Hunter, running back out of Auburn. So it doesn't come as a shock that the Rams took a running back this early, because you've taken a running back in each of the last 8 years. Last year, you took Blake Corum, but the difference between Hunter and Blake Corum is Hunter brings a different dynamic. He has 4.44 speed. He was second amongst all running backs in the 2025 draft when it comes to explosive run rate. So he brings that ability to give you some explosive plays from the backfield. The Rams were the worst in the league last year when it came to that. When it came to running plays of 20 or more yards, the Rams were right at the bottom. So you definitely were looking for a little lightning to add to Kyren's thunder. And this is a guy who has a lot of potential. I mean, he can squat 600 pounds. He's really strong, but he's also really, really fast. So that's something that, hey, we're talking winners and losers. Is Kyren Williams a loser in this? Because does this point to, hey, either the Rams are going to get him on an extension on their own terms, or they're going to let him walk? Because you have Blake Corum now on a rookie deal. You have Hunter now on a rookie deal. Les Snead has said they want to work out a long-term partnership with Kyren Williams, but they're not going to break the bank on him. They're going to get him on their price, and that's all there is to it. They're not going to overpay for Kyren. Already on the last year of that rookie deal, is looking for that extension, looking for a new contract. He has dealt with some injuries. Throughout the years, the ankle. I mean, he has not been 100% every single season. So, look, it's a running back position. It's physically demanding. So to bring in some other guys that, hey, if they can't get a deal done, you can kind of move forward, and hopefully you hit on some of these guys. And look, we all know with the Todd Gurley situation that the Rams are going to think long and hard the next time they're willing to hand out a big contract to a running back. But I do like the addition of Hunter this season too. I mean, everyone's talking about the future of that position. Does this mean the end of Kyren Williams long term? I focus on what it can do for the Rams in 2025. Because, yes, Blake Corum brings something, but I think that he's more of a guy that can do things that Kyren Williams can do in the event that he gets injured. This is a totally different type of player. So I really, really do like this pick. I like you got the fact you get in the 4th round. It's tough to get that speed and explosion. I give this, though, I'm going to give this a B. This is a B pick for sure, because it's a running back spot. You don't know how he's going to pan out the next level. But, yeah, I give this a B. I don't want to be the easiest grader. I'm not a PE teacher, right? Throwing out A's and B plus to everyone. So the reason, though, I give this a B and not a B plus is just for the simple fact that I think ideally you just have some good running backs in the stable and you feel good about your running backs room. So, yeah, I mean, I think that a receiver, or at least a running back that kind of had better receiving chops, is another way to go as well. Because I think that you look at Devontae Adams could be here just for 1 year. Tutu Atwell, we don't know what his future holds, if he's going to realize his potential. Puka Nacua, of course, he's their guy. He's also dealt with some injuries too. So, look, I think that the Rams, they know that's a premium position. They know they're willing to pay guys to give up draft capital. We know that they're going to make sure they have talented receivers, but that's the only reason why I would give this a B instead of a B plus. And then coming up next, we're going to continue to throw out these grades. A pick later in the draft that I'm giving my first A to. Should I bump it up to an A plus? I'll think about it during the break. But I think the Rams got a very talented player that has a chance to be very productive, that I think you could look back in the next couple of years and say, oh, this guy should have been a lot higher if you do a redraft. But that's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And a reminder that today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check out your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building your wealth. What I love about it too is you get surprise insights. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. And it's very convenient. It's all in one. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And you can also collaborate. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Got a lot of new listeners lately, got a lot of new viewers lately. Welcome to the Ramley. Welcome to Locked On Rams. And if you're new, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and also, make sure if you really want to support the channel, you hit that like button. So definitely join the Everyday Listeners Club too. If you do that, you watch every single episode, you listen to every single episode Monday through Friday, then you won't miss a thing about your favorite team, the Los Angeles Rams. All right, here in our second segment, we're going to continue throwing out grades. Next pick for the Rams. They go with a lineman out of Ohio State. They go with Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle, in the 5th round, pick number 148 overall. And this was a pick where the Rams, they saw Ty Hamilton available, and they traded up. They go up 47 spots to get Hamilton. They give up a 2026 4th round pick, which is definitely on the higher side. That is a pretty steep price to get a defensive lineman that might not play for you in year one. And then you add the fact that the Rams, they still up to this point have not drafted a cornerback. So I think they must have a plan in place. We talked a lot about Jalen Ramsey. You do have some internal talent, but the cornerback spot is one that a lot of people, including myself, felt at least at this point you would have already picked a cornerback. But Tyler Davis is still competing for time at the defensive lineman spot. Poona Ford, he, of course, was a big offseason get. So when it comes to getting snaps in year one, it's not going to be easy for Ty Hamilton. And I guess if you pick a Michigan man, you got to take some guy out of Ohio State. And certainly, I did watch a good amount of him when he was in college. This guy's a beast. He's a monster. But at this point, I was hoping to see a cornerback. I'm going to have to go B- on this one. B- C+ range for Ty Hamilton. But the later round pick that I am most excited for, round 5, pick number 172, is linebacker Chris Paul Jr. out of Ole Miss. And we know that the Rams, their MO, their reputation is that you don't prioritize the inside linebacker spot very highly. But they were adamant that they need to trade up to get Chris Paul. They trade up 29 spots. They go from 201 to 172. And they did that because of how highly they felt about him, how big they were on Chris Paul, and how high it was on their draft board. He was widely considered to be a 3rd round pick. So to get him right there towards the end of the 5th round, you're getting a good value out of that just for starters. If you just kind of look at how he's viewed in NFL circles, how he's viewed by scouts. If you look at the mock drafts, he was a guy that you thought was going to go 3rd round, maybe the 4th round, but you get a dude that really just plays like a beast. I mean, you look at his his tape. I mean, this guy's absolutely relentless. He plays with his hair on fire, just going after the ball on every single play. And that is something that the Rams need, is a guy that really can step into that spot and own it, where you're not having to give up high draft capital, having to pay a guy. He's definitely on the shorter side at 6'1", 222, but a lot like the other guys that we've seen from the Rams in this draft, they play taller and bigger than their listed height and weight. And that's with his ability to go sideline to sideline to make tackles. He was also instrumental in the Ole Miss defense. He was their defensive signal caller. That is equivalent to being a green dot guy. So he's got that ability to make reads, to be a leader. And I think what really opens my eyes on him is he's really good in coverage. This is from Dane Brugler of The Beast for The Athletic. He said that Paul, quote, gets to landmarks in coverage, but needs to develop route anticipation to be more of a playmaker versus pass. So he has that athleticism. He has the ability to get to those spots to make plays. And the Rams, they need that from that spot. They need a guy that's just better in coverage, because we saw that the coverage wasn't great. The coverage was not awesome, right? It just wasn't, right? I like my defense like a great shower head. Lots of coverage, lots of pressure. And you have Reeder, you have Landman, you have Spades. Those are guys that can go up there, make some plays at the line, make tackles, but they're not particularly good when it comes to coverage. So bringing in a guy at that position that can do some things from a coverage standpoint, that can develop too in that, and he just kind of has those natural abilities and instincts to be additive and to be a plus coverage dude at that position, I think it makes this a great pick, really. It's not just that it's that position, it's what his strengths are at that position. I think that you could see him day one contributing. I think that his role will expand rapidly if what he did at the college level translates to the pro level. And if he does that quickly, I mean, I think there's no reason why he can't come in and get a prominent role in year one. Let's not forget Omar Spades. He comes in as a UDFA. Last training camp, he got a lot of buzz and a lot of people talking about how much the Rams liked him. And then all of a sudden, he was starting as a UDFA. So we're talking about Chris Paul, someone that was actually picked in the draft, someone that was taken there in the 5th round. There's no reason why he can't start. So this guy's a monster. I love this pick. I'm giving this an A pick. It's tough to give it an A+. I mean, like Aaron Donald's an A+ pick, right? I mean, and that's after the fact. All these guys won't be A's and B's and C's after. Of course, you got to regrade a little bit after the fact, but just the fact you trade up, you get a guy that was supposed to be in the 3rd or 4th round, you get him in the 5th round. He's someone that fills a role for you. I love this pick. And then in the 7th round, pick 242, the Rams finally get a wide receiver. It's Konata Mumpfield out of Pittsburgh. And when you go with guys this late in the draft, it's tough to kind of knock the player from whatever tools they do have, right? I mean, you look at his size. Is he big? Nope, he's 5'11". Is he fast? Nope, he's 4'59". I mean, he's faster than me, right? Relatively fast compared to the natural human, the normal human. But to wide receivers, to those standards, no, he's not a burner. But he is very Ramsey, very Rams-like. He's a good route runner. He is a leader. He was a team captain. So he kind of fits kind of that mold of players that kind of have that pedigree that the Rams look for. But when I'm looking at guys later in the rounds, I'm looking for some upside plays, right? Guys that, yeah, maybe they're not as physical, but you got the speed there because you can't really teach that. But still, I mean, it's tough to really go against what the Rams did with this pick, just because, hey, they probably see a depth play there. And look, I mean, the Rams could have traded up for a receiver. There was talk that they were interested in doing that, and they have been for the last 2 years, but thankfully, you're not desperate for one. You'd like an extra playmaker, you for sure would, but you have Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. So, yeah, unless there was someone that kind of knocked their socks off, this made sense. So, for this grade, I'll give this a C. I'll give this a C. I mean, I'm not going to go crazy for this one, but all in all, I think the fact that, hey, you kind of picked almost every single position that we thought they would, except for right tackle, except for the cornerback spot, and you clearly just went with guys that you thought highly of from an overall prospect perspective, right? You just thought that, hey, let's get the best guy at these positions, and they certainly did just that. And I think the fact that the Rams hit in free agency the way they did by getting the guys they did with Poona Ford and Devontae Adams and just having a roster that is still, for the most part, intact. I mean, you did work last year with Kevin Dotson. I mean, you've been able to put together a roster where it definitely needs a couple extra pieces to the puzzle. And later in the week, we'll talk about some trades and things they could do to add some other splashes to this group. But I think the biggest key and the biggest thing about this draft was, hey, are these guys quality? And they got players. I mean, there was a talk that they had Terrance Ferguson way up at 26. They were considering taking Terrance Ferguson at 26. So clearly the Rams had their strategy and they stuck to it, and they went with the guys that they think can help them and be pieces for this group moving forward. So all in all, for the Rams, their draft grade, look, I think it largely is dependent on what happens next season. If one of those additional picks that they got in trading out of the first round to the Atlanta Falcons, if one of those picks goes to a mid-season trade acquisition that puts them over the top and they make a deep run or even win a Super Bowl, then immediately you look back at, hey, right? If those additional picks go towards players that, hey, you get 2 high-quality first-round picks at positions of need and they work out, then it becomes an A. If you include some of those picks to get Arch Manning and he's the quarterback of the future, and you somehow beat out the Browns, or maybe he pulls an Eli Manning, doesn't want to go to Cleveland, and then, hey, by the way, everyone's talking about that prank for Jador Sanders, and that was rough, man. You hated to see those kids pull that prank on Jador Sanders, but I also wanted to see what Jador Sanders' face looked like when he realized that him being picked by the Browns wasn't a prank. So, yeah, all this is to say that, hey, Arch Manning, don't go to the Browns and find a way to get to the Rams. So, all in all, though, I'm giving this draft a B+. I'm giving this a B+ because I like the flexibility of having the picks. I like the players they selected. But, hey, if anyone's out here saying that they know how well these guys are going to perform, I mean, hey, take them to Vegas with you, right? But I do think that they went the direction they were hoping to go. And I think that once we see this entire offseason play out and how they're going to address cornerback, then I think that it'll make a lot more sense what they did at the draft. So give it a B with the possibility of getting to an A. This is the midterm B, and we'll see if they get an A after on the final, right? But that's going to do it for this segment. Next segment, we got some more winners and losers from the Rams 2025 NFL Draft. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. The NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. And I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win. So don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com to claim your $250 in bonus bets. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so when it comes to the grades, I gave you mine. Well, let's look at some of the grades that others gave out, other publications, experts, websites. A guy really put together a great spreadsheet, Renee Bugner, and he put a spreadsheet together that accumulated and sorted through all of the draft grades, and he gave each individual team a GPA. And the Rams got a 3.05 GPA for their draft. That was 17th in the NFL. So not elite, not towards the bottom, kind of right there towards the middle, but they didn't get any grade lower than a C. They did get some A grades, and there's a ton of them out there, but I'll run through them really quick for you. NFL.com gave the Rams a B+, The Score a B, PFF a B+, Cleveland.com A-, CBS Sports an A, AP NFL A-, Bleacher Report B+, PFN B-, Athlon Sports B+, Sporting News gave them a B, The Ringer gave them a B, Yahoo Sports gave them an A, Sport Day gave him a B. ESPN gave him a B-. USA Today a B. Fox Sports gave him a C. Washington Post gave him a B-. Sharp Football A-. Sports Illustrated gave him a C. Kickster gave him a B. CBS Sports gave him a B. They got a C+ from the New York Post. Roto World gave him a B+. And Fantasy Life gave them a C+. So, yeah, I mean, those were really pretty solid. I mean, when you look at the teams that got Fs, only F out there was the Chargers got an F from Fantasy Life, and they had a 2.82 GPA. You had some D- for the Bengals. Actually, the Vikings also. No, the Lions got an F. Fantasy Life was pretty rough on some of these dudes. But overall, the Rams definitely fared towards the top in some of the publications you really care about. But like I said, I mean, all this is kind of just fun and games, to be honest with you. And I've talked to scouts that have worked for the best organizations as high as you can get in this business. And they've told me the same thing, that, look, I mean, you just have no way to evaluate this until you see how these players perform. But they had a strategy. They went all in on their strategy. And look, I think that the reason why you should feel extra excited about these players is the Rams have just hit in the last couple of drafts. So I think that's why I'm enthusiastic and optimistic that these guys are going to perform well, just because this is a Rams organization that just had so much success in the last couple of seasons in the draft. So, I mean, until they take an L, until they whiff a draft, I'm just going to continue to think that they're going to keep hitting in the draft, because they're on a hot streak right now, and I think they have kind of earned that benefit of the doubt. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And like I said, guys, we're close to 17,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this, I know there's a lot of you that watch the show but don't subscribe. Do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button. It is free. You don't have to do anything or pay me or whatever. Just subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and then you will be subscribed to the channel. Lots of exciting stuff this off season on the podcast. Hey, we love it, man. You guys are the originals, right? And the podcast is still going as strong as ever, and we appreciate all the listeners out there. But that's going to do it, guys. Like I said, my name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams House.